Hey guys,
episode 10 here of News and Brews. So that's exciting. We appreciate you guys plugging along and sticking with us, and hopefully you're finding some value in some of the topics we're discussing.
I think you guys are. We're getting lots of comments and
shares and likes and all that kind of stuff.
So episode 10, this is a part 3 of a 3-part series.
Yeah, we're wrapping it up.
We've been talking about the top 3 things that sellers are looking for when they hire us to help them sell their home.
Right, so we've covered marketing, which is huge, and then negotiations, and this week we're talking about
advice. So you, the seller, need a lot of advice. There's a lot of advice that we can give throughout the transaction, and that's where we're at right now. It's like what kind of advice, what kind of topics do people most ask you for?
Right, so I think as realtors, it's kind of interesting sometimes where we find ourselves fitting into our sellers' lives. Sometimes you need advice on all sorts of things, and it's fantastic, and we get to know you really well on a personal level. Very personal.
I'm talking more about the actual real estate transaction itself. Right. Yes, real estate is personal, and we do get into that all the time. Which is, a lot of my past clients have become my best friends because you just spend so much time. Right. It's a wonderful thing.
It's a solid 45 days, most of the time, if not more. Yeah. So I think actually one of the main things that sellers look to realtors for is our knowledge of the market and what's happening in our area. So sometimes sellers think that their house is worth $1 million because cousin Susie's house just sold for $1 million.
Right.
And so our vision gets
the neighbor's house. And it sold so fast, and
Right. So I think that your typical seller, their market knowledge is actually really quite small.
Yeah, it's based on 3-4 people they know.
Right. Whoever they're rubbing elbows with, and what happened on their street, and we have access to hundreds of thousands of sales that have happened all across Jackson County and beyond, nationally too, that have happened over the last 5, 10, 20 years, however long we're looking. So we have a lot better idea of what's happening in the market.
Yeah. So you got market trends.
Right.
One of my favorite topics as far as advice is to help a seller get their home ready for market. And you're fantastic at that. Yeah,
well, that seller consultation that comes into play. So sometimes it's really simple color schemes and having to paint a wall and whatnot. Yeah. Other times it's cleaning off the countertops or a full kitchen remodel. I've walked sellers through that before. So that seller consultation that happens at the beginning and getting the home ready to show. That's another big one.
I love doing that. I love walking through that home and saying, okay, here's how it's going to look to a consumer, to the buyer.
Right. Put on your buyer glasses, and say, hey, they're going to look at the trim work, and they're going to look at the color schemes,
9 times out of 10,
the flooring,
9 times out of 10, what the seller thinks needs to be done is not what needs to be done.
I don't know if I'd say 9 times out of 10.
In my experience, it's like almost,
I think a lot of us put off buttoning things up, because we can deal with the fact that the trim is a little bit broken in that one corner. But when a buyer walks in, they notice those things, and right now the market is so hot and so heavy that we really need to have our homes 100% show ready. So yes, implementing that seller consultation was a huge step for me in my real estate career, and it has made a big difference with my average days on market. Another thing, though, that I think that sellers are looking to us for is for contract knowledge and for contract advice.
The paperwork, guys. The paperwork in this industry has not gotten easier, and it has not gotten less.
Yeah.
It's every single form we come across, every single new document is because somebody sued somebody, and now it's a thing. Yeah. And so when we walk in with this big stack of paperwork, it's because everything in there is to protect you and help you walk through this transaction
and get to the closing table successfully without a lawsuit and without extended liabilities. So I think those are the 3 big things that we pay attention to as far as giving advice goes for our sellers. So getting your home ready for market, knowing what the market is providing and allowing for us to do and how we can justify those prices, and then how to walk you through those contracts and those paperworks and negotiate those offers. So We've covered over the last couple of weeks 3 of the most important reasons why you should hire a realtor. So we've talked about marketing, we've talked about negotiations, and now we've talked about advice.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or you need advice or any of that stuff, please shoot us a message, get a hold of us.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks, guys.